Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Demons Do It Better by Louisa Masters, narrated by Joel Leslie. Chapter 1. I stare up at the building. It looks pretty much like every other office building on the street. Concrete, steel, and boring. Like the last one I worked in, and the one before that. But this one promises to be different. The ad said so. Administrator wanted, excitement and adventure guaranteed. It was like a golden ray of sunshine in my gray, boring day. I'd been working in administration for a long time, and while jobs in my field are often advertised as exciting and challenging and fast-paced, what that actually means is you'll be doing the same old administrative tasks, but at a company that does cool things you'll have nothing to do with, or you'll be doing the job of two people, or the people you're supporting are assholes/imbeciles/both. I've never seen the word adventure used to advertise for an admin, and I was intrigued. And bored. Because my current job is for an exciting tech development company where I have the challenge of supporting a team of asshole marketing consultants who constantly forget to advise me of deadlines, which means I'm always working at a fast pace. For once, I'd like the fast pace to be because things are happening fast, not because some dickwad was too busy telling me to get him a coffee to remember to add that he needs a report by the end of the week. Just so you know, he never got that coffee. I don't feel bad about it because he didn't tell me about the report until 2 hours before he needed it. So, yeah, ready for a change. And adventure sounds right up my alley, as long as I can do it from my desk or couch. Virtual adventure. That's what I want. Which is why I'm standing here, staring at a building that's nice and close to home. About 8 blocks. Do I really want adventure? I'm not really an adventurous kind of guy. My name is Sam Tiller. I'm 34 years old, 5'6" and a quarter, with brown hair and eyes. In my younger days, I was the twinkiest twink that ever did twink, until it became too much effort. I'd much rather order takeout and watch TV in my sweats than squeeze my balls into skinny jeans and get stepped on by some dick in a club who's too busy feeling me up to realize he's crushing my foot. I do miss getting felt up, though. Sighing, I stride into the building. It can't hurt to interview, right? I'm not even sure what the company, CSG, does, really. There was a generic website positively buzzing with all the right terminology, but no information on what products or services they deal in, or with, or manufacture. Maybe this will be an actual exciting job. Maybe there will be non-douchey people working here who can feel me up. Outside of working hours, of course. Some lines I don't cross. The ride in the elevator feels endless. There are 2 others in here with me, and I think that's the only thing that keeps me from changing my mind, because I don't want to be that guy who rode the elevator up and then down again for no real reason that they decide to call security on. Been there, not fun, long story. By the time the doors open on my floor, I'm ready. I've talked myself into believing this is going to be amazing. Epic, even. So, I march out of the elevator. And freeze. There are animals here. Huge dogs, 3 of them. Just wandering around. Well, not exactly wandering. In fact, they seem to be walking with purpose, crossing the reception area toward a door at the far end. But they're huge, like almost to my armpit. I'm not exactly tall, but still. Is this some kind of wildlife rescue? Even so, why would they have such big dogs in the corporate office? They disappear through the door, and I shake my head and walk up to the reception desk. The receptionist is looking down as she writes something on a memo pad, and I wait. What the fuck? Does she have... Are those horns nestled in her hair? Shit, am I hallucinating? That's never happened to me before, but she looks up and sees me. Surprise flares over her face. I suck in a deep breath and screw my eyes closed for a second, and when I open them, the horns are gone, and the receptionist is smiling.
"Can I help you?"
she asks sweetly. I swallow. Yes, I have an appointment with... Fuck, what was his name? The dogs and the maybe imaginary horns have thrown me off my game. What was his name? Harold! She taps at her keyboard, then smiles at me again.
"He'll be right out. Take a seat."
I cross to where the waiting area is, but don't even get the chance to sit before a big man comes in and says, "I'm Harold. Come on." I follow him through a door and then through an open-plan office space, trying to keep up. This office is seriously weird. There are more of those huge dogs, and... Is that a tiger standing by the window? No fucking way. It's gotta be a toy of some kind. Before I can decide if it's a giant stuffed animal or if there is indeed a wild creature in the office, Harold leads me into a small meeting room and closes the door behind me. I've barely planted my ass in a chair before he starts barking questions. We confirm my experience. We confirm that I have no problem working for a team rather than a single person. "You won't report to any of them," he grunts. "Officially, I'll be your boss." "That's great," I volunteer. It makes it easier for me to push back when their expectations are unrealistic. He nods, and although his face doesn't change from its grumpy scowl, I get the feeling he's pleased. Then he starts going over the job. "You'll be the administrator for a team of 15. Job specs will be emailed to you through an automated system, and your role will be to allocate the job to a team member based on their skills and ability. You'll act as their liaison if they have any requirements, equipment and personnel requisition and the like, and you'll help them file their reports and report their hours against each job." This is a job I could do in my sleep. Where's the action? Where's the adventure? I'm so disappointed. "This is not a 9-to-5 Monday to Friday job. You may receive job specs at odd hours on the weekends. They need to be allocated to a team member immediately, so you'll be essentially on call 24/7. However, outside of that and answering emergency calls, it doesn't matter to us when you work. As long as all tasks are completed in a timely manner, you can set your own hours as long as you're available to your team when they need you." Well, that's a bit more unusual for an admin job. Not really exciting, though. And what the hell does this company do? Like, is it an emergency plumbing service? Or maybe it's an escort agency. I should ask some questions and maybe things will become clearer. I clear my throat. That sounds fine. The, ad mentioned adventure. It also didn't say what kind of company this is. For the first time, he smiles. It's more of a smirk, really. "The adventure is really more about the people you'll be working with. But don't worry, you won't be doing anything illegal. We're a government department." I blink. "You are? Don't government departments usually advertise with logos and complicated recruitment processes?" "Yes, the team you'll be working with are investigators. People report unusual or potentially dangerous events, and your team investigates them and takes action if needed." What kind of action? I don't think I want to work with a team of hitmen, even if they are government-sanctioned. He laughs. "Not murder. Arrest. Usually that's not necessary. Most of your team will be investigating false tips, helping people who aren't aware of the funding and programs available to them. You'll be enrolling a lot of people into educational courses." I'm confused. A potentially dangerous event that results in someone enrolling for night school?
"So, how does it sound?"
"Great," I say, honestly. I mean, aside from the whole part where I don't understand what the company does, still, would that be so different from when I worked for KPMG?
"When could you start?"
"What? You're offering me the job? Just like that?"
"If you want it."
He eyes me.
"There's just one more thing you need to know, but if you're not planning to take the job, I can't tell you."
"Yeah, I'm not curious. Are you curious? Why would that make anyone curious?" I swallow hard. Sir, this job sounds good, and I'm looking for a change, even if it just ends up being more of the same in a different office, but I'm really worried about what you're about to tell me. He smirks again.
I like you. If you don't freak out, you could go far at CSG.
If I don't freak out, that doesn't inspire confidence. Freak out? I ask, and my voice doesn't even squeak. And what does CSG even stand for? He braces his elbows on the table and leans forward. I lean forward too, because it feels like I should.
Are you religious?
I sit back. If this is some kind of cult... No, wait. He said it's a government agency. Not really, I say warily. I mean, I was technically raised Catholic, but my family was always Christmas and Easter kind of Catholic, and the church and I parted ways when I was a teenager anyways. When I realized I was gay, but he doesn't need to know that.
Good. So, you know the doctrine.
It's my turn to laugh. Yeah, I know the doctrine. The only decent school in our neighborhood was a Catholic one, so my parents sent me there. It was actually the closest school to us, and they sent me there so I could walk, and they didn't have to spend any time driving me. But he doesn't need to know that.
Not much of it is true.
This is getting super weird. Yeah, I figured. Is this still part of the job interview, or is he working a personal agenda? Maybe trying to recruit me to his religion?
When I said earlier we were a government department, you didn't ask which government.
The breath freezes in my lungs. Fuck. Fuck, is he a foreign agent? Am I being recruited to betray my country? Why me? I mean, seriously, why me? I'm an admin assistant with no social life. I didn't think I had to. I croak, and he smirks again.
Relax, kid. We're operating here with the full knowledge and permission of the U.S. government. Well, those who need to know, anyway. You wouldn't be doing anything illegal.
Why doesn't that make me feel better? My head is starting to spin. I should have known an adventurous admin job was an oxymoron. This has to be some sort of practical joke. Maybe one of those weird reality TV shows. I stand. Thanks for seeing me today, but I think I'll be going now. Harold opens his mouth to say something, but I'm already turning toward the door. 2 long steps, and I wrench it open, my gaze skimming across the open-plan office as I step out and half-turn to close the door. Fuck me. I freeze. Literally, I can't move. I can't even look away. My gaze is locked on the man standing about 15 feet away, where one of those big dogs was just a second ago. I'm not insane. I'm not hallucinating. I'm not. But where did the dog go? And where did the man come from? A hand clamps firmly on my shoulder, and Harold steers me back into the meeting room and sits me down. He leans on the table and looks me in the eye.
We're not human. Species you might call paranormal or real. We have our own government. The Community of Species Government, CSG, and the investigative team you'd be a part of works to find people who don't know they're not human and help them assimilate with our society.
I blink. My jaw is still dropped. I'm pretty sure I look unevolved right now, but did I just see a dog turn into a man? What? Crap. Can Harold turn into a dog? He sighs and sits down.
Are you okay? Do you need a glass of water?
I screw my eyes shut and take a deep breath. When I open them again, I'm calm. Calmer than I've been for a long time. Explain this to me. What's the connection to religion? Because he wouldn't have fumbled around with that if it wasn't important. He smiles. A real one this time, looking pleased that I've put those 2 facts together.
God is real, he declares. But he's not some omnipotent being, and not much of that crap in the Bible is true.
Okay. I wait.
One thing you humans got right is that God is a title, not a name. It's even true that there's only one God. At a time, God is the head estate of the spiritual plane. The current god is named Malia.
Wow. God is a woman. Take that and choke on it, you patriarchal fucks. Is it an elected or hereditary position? I ask faintly, and he nods at me approvingly.
Neither. It's, So, magic is real, right?
Right. Holy fuck.
God is a magically selected position. We've been studying the process for a long time, but we're still not sure how. It just seems that the person best suited to the role at a particular time is invested with the power.
Wait, so there's no set term of godhood? I'm fascinated, despite myself. Harold shakes his head.
Nope. We've had our current god for about 1,500 years, but there have been gods who only served for a few years. The longest-serving god was I'm getting off topic. If you really want to know this, there are some resources I can point you to.
I nod. I mean, what else can I do?
So, God is the head of state of the spiritual plane.
He said that before. What does it mean? Like an afterlife? He shrugs.
Yes and no. It's a non-corporeal dimension. If you're a being that doesn't need a physical body, you don't have to die to go there.
Can of worms. Open. I keep my mouth shut to hold in the million questions that want to burst out.
But most species can go, unless they've shed their physical bodies, so, yeah, afterlife works. Or pre-life, since that's where you'd be before you applied for another stint in a physical body.
So, reincarnation is real? He rolls his eyes.
Of course. An eternal soul is too valuable to waste on a single physical life, and then, what? Sitting around admiring oneself? I don't know about you, but I'd be bored in a heartbeat. This is my 9th stint on the physical plane. I only last for so long before I start wanting the physical stuff again. Food, sex, even taking a dump can feel real good. You know what I mean?
I nod. Because I do. And also because I don't know what else to do. Reincarnated because you miss shitting? Sure, why not? I feel like we might be getting off track again. So, why don't humans know about any of this? I mean, surely there should be rumors. Harold huffs.
Hold on, I'll get to that. Right, so, God is in charge of spiritual plane. Now, magic never intended for the physical plane to be split up and governed like this. It invests a leader here, too.
I turn that over in my mind. A god of Earth?
Not quite. God is the title given to the leader of the spiritual plane. The leader of the physical plane is called...
It clicks. The devil?
Close, Lucifer. The devil is a human construct. The current Lucifer is a real easygoing guy, likes to rollerblade and do jigsaw puzzles. Now, about 8,700 years ago or so, there was this human clan leader here on Earth. I forget where exactly. Anyway, this little upstart clan leader broke a treaty or something, and the Lucifer at the time was forced to sanction him. He didn't like that, and being a dickweasel of the highest order, he started some rumors about how the Lucifer had been sent to Earth in disgrace, barred from the spiritual plane. Some other folks who were kinda power-hungry and didn't like that the Lucifer wouldn't let them invade their neighbors jumped all over it, and it snowballed from there. Within 100 years, humanity was convinced that the Lucifer was an evil being whose purpose was to tempt them into giving up their souls. What would anyone even do with their souls? It's not like a physical body can use more than one, and slavery is impossible on the spiritual plane, so...
Is it just me, or has Harold gotten really chatty? What happened to the gruff guy who barely looked at me during the interview? So the devil doesn't want our souls, I manage, and he looks at me like I'm stupid.
There is no devil, but yeah, souls, Not wanted. Anyway, things got kinda ugly then with the species wars.
I'm so glad I'm sitting down. The species wars. He nods.
Basically, humans against everyone else. It didn't start out that way. There were some subgroups within other species that thought overthrowing the Lucifer would be a great way to further their own gain.
He stops, seems to think about it.
Only the humans really believed that the Lucifer was the devil. None of the other species fell for that crap. I wonder why.
Is he expecting me to answer him? Because I don't know. He shakes his head.
Anyway, the species wars started out kinda like an all-out brawl, but then the humans started bringing their religions into it and declaring that all other species were abominations and tools of the devil. So after 100 or so years, it was just humans against the rest of us as we struggled to survive.
Fuck me. Sometimes I'm really ashamed of humanity. I feel like I'm missing something. Didn't you outnumber us? I mean, humans. If all the species banded together. So why aren't things the way they're supposed to be? His smile is sad.
Actually, humans outnumbered us. As a rule, every other high-intelligence species lives longer than humans, but as a balance, we find it harder to conceive, and thus our numbers are fewer.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Things were getting dire, but in the end, magic itself provided the solution. One day, everything went dark, darker than the darkest night, and when the light came back, a new Lucifer had been invested, and humans had forgotten us.
Forgotten? He shrugs.
I wasn't there. This is just what I've been told. Our history shows that all our species were granted a small amount of inner magic that day, even those who had never had it before, to help us hide in plain sight. But it didn't seem that the humans were even looking, and to this day there have been thousands of times when the truth could have come out, during archaeological excavation, for one, but somehow never does.
That's why her horns disappeared, I realize. Yeah, the idea of all of history being a lie we just never noticed is huge, but I'm mostly relieved to know I wasn't hallucinating.
Whose?
I explain, and he nods.
Yeah, this is generally a safe place for us, so we tend to let the glamour go. I forgot to tell everyone there would be a human visiting.
Which raises an important question. Harold, why me? I mean, why hire a human? This isn't exactly a job that only I can do, and if you hired someone else, you wouldn't have to explain all this to me. His gaze slides away. Uh-oh.
Harold? Look,
he chuckles nervously.
It's not a big deal. I just thought hiring a human might make for a nice change.
Can anyone else smell the bullshit? Because it sure is thick. I don't say anything, just stare at him, and eventually he gives in.
So, this is where the adventure comes in. The team you'd be assigned to, they're good people. They're just, well, they're mostly hellhounds. We generally try not to assign too many hellhounds to the same team because they can be a bit much in groups. Rambunctious. I'm not sure how this lot all ended up together, but now we can't separate them.
Rambunctious? Like toddlers? I ask incredulously. What do you mean you can't separate them? I remind myself again that I actually saw a dog turn into a man and that this isn't a joke. It's not.
They won't allow it.
He grins suddenly.
I should say we won't allow it.
Huh? Oh. You're a hellhound. Hey, if the devil isn't real, then hell isn't either, so why that name? He rolls his eyes.
Humans were using it as a slur back during the wars, calling us the minions of the devil and all that crap that meant nothing to anyone but them. The species leader at the time had a twisted sense of humor, so She officially changed our subspecies name to mess with them.
What the fuck? She changed your species name because she thought it was funny. And it stuck.
Sure, he shrugs. It is kind of funny, you got to admit.
I don't want to tell him that I don't get the joke. I am, however, beginning to understand why hellhounds might be referred to as rambunctious. I swallow hard. I wanted a change, a challenge, but dealing with colleagues who seemingly have driven off all my predecessors?
I'm hoping that by hiring a human, I can convince them to be on their best behavior, Harold rushes on. And I think you can handle them.
What did they do to drive away everyone else? Knowledge is power, right?
Nothing bad, he hastens to assure me. Mostly, they just got too clingy. Most of the administrators before you had families who objected to always having a hellhound pop in. We tried hiring a few single people, but as a species, hellhounds tend to be overprotective and nosy. So, 2 of them quit when their dating lives took a turn for the worse, and the third couldn't handle their constant need for attention and reassurance.
Hellhounds sound a lot like golden retrievers. I rub my face and think about it. I really need a change. And, canine colleagues aside, this job is perfect for me. But I don't know. What happens if they drive me nuts too and I want to quit? Harold shrugs.
You quit, and I seriously consider killing the lot of them for putting me through another round of recruitment, especially since I have no idea what I could possibly do next.
Great. I'm the scrapings at the bottom of the barrel. No, I mean, I'm human, and now I know about... I wave my hand. All of you.
Oh, well, you tell me. What would happen if you tried to tell people?
Realization hits.
Exactly. Nobody would believe you except a bunch of nutjob conspiracy theorists. You could take video of your team members shifting, and you'd just be accused of doctoring it.
So you just let me quit?
Yeah. I'd be pissed because I had to get special permission to even interview you to begin with, but if you wanted to quit, that's up to you.
I bite my lip. He studies me. I nod. I'm in. Chapter 2. I'm in, I groan. What the hell was I thinking? The bartender casts me a wary look. I don't blame her. I've been sitting here muttering into my drink for the past half hour. I got halfway home, so not far at all, before it really sank in that I've just signed on to work for an interspecies government body, and I began to freak out. I'm actually really proud that I kept it together that long. I was perfectly calm when Harold gave me a 2-line overview of each species, 2 subspecies of shifters, vampires, demons, succubi and incubi, and sorcerers, and then directed me to a series of web archives where I can do more research so I won't make any huge social blunders. I was even calm when he gave me such tips as,
don't wear heavy cologne around shifters, and don't ask a demon their middle name.
Things got a little shaky with,
never rub your throat around a vampire unless you're inviting a bite.
But I pulled it together for,
if an incubus or succubus invites you for a hookup, set ground rules from the outset, because once you start, you forget everything else.
That last one was even kind of intriguing. So I don't know why the panic suddenly hit me on the way home. It seemed like the best solution would be to sit down and have a drink to calm my nerves, and fortunately, this bar was only steps away. I've been here before. It's nice and close to my place, as I said, so it's a good place to meet with grinder dates while I decide if they're safe to take home or not. But I wouldn't call myself a regular. The dilemma I'm facing now is whether or not to call Harold and say, thanks but no thanks. I feel stupid even considering it, because isn't this what I wanted? A change from my everyday, boring existence? The job itself is something I can do with my eyes closed and my hands tied behind my back, metaphorically, and the money Harold offered is amazing, so much better than my current job. Plus, it would be a new environment with lots of exciting and interesting things to learn and see. On the other hand...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?